Detectives Sarah Collins and Mark Rivera had seen their share of crime scenes, but nothing prepared them for the call that came across their radios on a quiet Nevada morning. A semi-truck was moving across the state, and inside, children might be in danger. Every instinct screamed urgency, and every mile the truck traveled could mean lives at stake. What started as a routine patrol was about to turn into a high-speed chase that would test their courage, skill, and determination like never before. It all began on an ordinary morning in Nevada, where the desert stretched for miles under a blazing sun and highways cut lonely paths across the barren land. The state police had been running routine patrols, checking traffic and responding to the usual calls. When a single anonymous tip arrived that would change everything, the message was short but alarming. Delivered through a secure tip line, a semi-truck had been seen traveling suspiciously across the S. Tate, and children might be in danger. There were few details, only a partial license plate, a rough description of the truck, and an unsettling sense of urgency. Despite the lack of information, the tip was enough to trigger a chain of events that would mobilize dozens of law enforcement officers immediately. The sheriff's department and highway patrol sprang into action. They pulled up the partial license plate in the state database and checked highway surveillance cameras along major and minor routes. The semi was moving fast, seemingly aware of being tracked. Officers could see its shadowy outline on the monitors, the long trailer stretching across the highway, cutting a lonely figure through the Nevada desert as they traced its route. They noticed the truck avoided the main highways, taking less traveled roads that meandered through empty stretches of desert. Every turn it took seemed deliberate, almost like it was trying to disappear. The tip weighed heavily on the minds of everyone involved. The possibility of children in danger turned a routine day into a high-stakes operation. Back at the command center, deputies mapped out the truck's likely route. Marking stops and calculating speed and distance, they coordinated with patrol units already on the road, ensuring multiple checkpoints were ready to intercept the vehicle. Helicopters were called in to provide aerial surveillance, their blades chopping through the still desert air. Every officer knew that time was critical. Each mile the truck traveled could take them further from those they were trying to protect. As the morning wore on, surveillance footage began to provide small but crucial clues. The semi had been seen at several truck stops, but each sighting raised more questions than answers. Was anyone inside aware of the tip being reported? Were the children still in the vehicle, or had they been moved? The officers could only rely on patterns, noticing the truck's repeated behavior and slow, cautious movements. While the tip had been vague, it was enough to ignite a hunt that combined careful detective work with real-time tracking, a delicate balance of strategy and intuition. By late morning, the tension was palpable. Officers were not just following a truck, they were racing against a threat they could barely see, trying to predict the next move of someone who might be desperate, dangerous, or both. From helicopters circling overhead to patrol cars waiting at hidden checkpoints, the entire operation felt like a chess match played out across hundreds of miles of empty road. Each passing minute added to the suspense, the sense that the desert itself was holding its breath, waiting to see how this dangerous game would unfold. The investigation intensified as officers traced the semi-truck's movements from one truck stop to the next. Each stop left behind traces, small, seemingly insignificant details that, when pieced together, began to reveal a pattern. Security cameras captured fleeting glimpses of the vehicle as it rolled into dimly lit parking lots, its long trailer casting shadows across cracked asphalt. Employees at the stops remembered seeing the truck parked for unusual lengths of time, the driver stepping out cautiously, scanning the surroundings before returning to the cab. Some recalled hearing children's laughter or faint voices, though none could be sure. These fragments of memory became vital leads, the breadcrumbs guiding law enforcement closer to the truth. Detectives dug into purchase records and receipts left at the stops, searching for anything that might indicate the driver's intentions. Small details emerged: prepaid fuel cards, fast food orders left untouched, and purchases of unusual quantities of water and snacks. It suggested long hours on the road, preparation for extended travel. and a careful attempt to maintain a low profile, investigators began comparing the patterns to known criminal behaviors. Looking for clues about whether this was a single act or part of a larger network, each discovery added to the sense of urgency. The truck was not simply moving, it was deliberate, calculated, and potentially dangerous. Meanwhile, law enforcement expanded their surveillance. Officers monitored cell tower data, piecing together signals that hinted at the driver's communication with unknown contacts. The truck appeared to be following a route designed to avoid detection, looping through isolated roads that hugged desert ridges and bypassed towns entirely. Satellite imagery confirmed the vehicle's path, revealing subtle changes in direction that seemed almost intentional. As if the driver knew someone might be watching, the detectives felt like they were racing against an invisible opponent. One step behind but closing in with every piece of evidence uncovered. The team also analyzed behavior from a psychological perspective. Experts suggested that the driver was methodical, possibly experienced in evading law enforcement. This raised the stakes considerably. The officers understood that catching the truck would require not only tracking its physical location but predicting its next moves based on human behavior. Patterns in the stops suggested that the driver had a routine, but deviations hinted at adaptability. Every choice, every turn, could reveal the driver's intent or conceal it further. It became a game of observation, intuition, and quick decision-making. As the day progressed, the tension on the highways and in the command center grew. Officers felt the weight of responsibility pressing down with every mile the truck traveled. The semi's presence seemed to cast a shadow over the desert itself, a looming threat that stretched across the horizon. Each checkpoint, camera, and satellite feed was part of a larger net, carefully woven to intercept a danger that could vanish in an instant. And as the investigation deepened, law enforcement realized that the vehicle carried more than cargo. It carried a secret that, if left unchecked, could change countless lives in ways no one wanted to imagine. The first glimpse of the semi-truck on the open highway set off a chain reaction. Highway patrol units signaled each other, tires screeching as patrol cars took positions along the road. The truck had been spotted near a remote stretch of Route 95, a lonely ribbon of asphalt cutting through the endless desert. From the moment the officers' lights reflected off the truck's polished sides, the chase became a test of nerves and skill. The vehicle accelerated, surging forward with a force that made interception risky. Officers knew the driver was desperate, possibly dangerous, and every second counted. Helicopters arrived overhead, their spotlights cutting through the late afternoon haze, following the semi as it weaved through traffic and accelerated past empty stretches of desert. From above, the pursuit looked almost cinematic, a lone truck defying authority, engines roaring against the quiet expanse, with law enforcement scrambling to keep pace. Patrol cars communicated over radios, coordinating roadblocks and predicting exits. Every maneuver the truck made had to be anticipated, every potential escape route covered. It was a high-speed chess match where mistakes could cost lives. As the chase intensified, the truck took sudden turns down secondary roads, narrowly missing abandoned buildings and desert washouts. Officers had to make split-second decisions, accelerating their vehicles while calculating the risks of pursuing on unfamiliar terrain. The desert itself became a dangerous factor. Loose gravel, uneven surfaces, and sharp bends meant that even a single misstep could turn the chase deadly. Despite the danger, the team pressed forward, driven by the possibility that children's lives might be at stake. The adrenaline in every officer surged, mixing fear, focus, and determination into a single purpose: stop the truck before it vanished. From inside the helicopters, investigators tracked the truck's movements, analyzing every turn and stop. The semi's driver showed skill and cunning, taking obscure backroads and avoiding towns where cameras might capture the vehicle. It was clear this was not a random act. Someone had planned for evasion, prepared for pursuit, but the authorities were relentless, predicting routes based on prior stops, analyzing patterns, and positioning units in anticipation. Each calculated move narrowed the options, gradually boxing the truck in despite its desperate attempts to escape. As night began to fall, The chase entered its most tense phase, the desert darkened, headlights slicing through shadows. Engines echoing across empty stretches of road, every mile brought the possibility of confrontation. Yet also the hope of interception. Officers adjusted their strategies, using coordinated roadblocks and controlled traffic stops to limit the truck's options. The helicopter crews guided ground units, tracking the semi in real time and feeding information that could prevent tragedy. The chase was no longer just a pursuit, it was a battle of endurance, wit, and sheer determination. Where the stakes were higher than anyone had imagined at the start of the day, each second brought them closer to an inevitable confrontation, and the tension stretched taut like a rope ready to snap. The semi-truck finally slowed near the edge of an abandoned industrial yard. Its headlights cutting through the desert night like sharp knives. Officers approached cautiously, aware that every second could be critical. The truck sat silent, seemingly inert, but the air was thick with tension. Specialized units moved into position, scanning the perimeter and checking for hidden exits. The desert had offered no cover for miles, but the yard itself was a maze of empty warehouses and rusting machinery. One wrong step could give the driver an advantage, and law enforcement could not afford mistakes. Inside the truck, the atmosphere was tense and methodical. Investigators carefully opened the cab, documenting everything before touching evidence. Hidden compartments revealed supplies, maps, and falsified logs, suggesting weeks of planning. Every item told a story of preparation, an organized attempt to evade capture. Communication devices and coded messages hinted at coordination with others, a network operating beyond the Nevada desert. The truck was more than a vehicle, it was a mobile hideout, a carefully constructed trap meant to deceive anyone who got too close. As officers inspected the trailer, they discovered evidence of careful concealment. False panels hid storage areas, and ordinary cargo was stacked in a way that disguised compartments beneath. The discovery confirmed that the driver had anticipated law enforcement intervention and had gone to great lengths to hide his activities. Despite the elaborate setup, the authorities worked meticulously, documenting each piece of evidence for investigation and court proceedings. The operation demanded patience. Any misstep could destroy vital proof or risk safety. Investigators soon realized the scope of the threat. The suspects were not lone actors. The truck connected to a broader network moving across state lines. Authorities traced phone records, shipping documents, and financial transactions, piecing together a web that extended far beyond Nevada. Every discovery deepened the urgency of understanding the operation and preventing further harm. It became clear that the danger had been escalating for months, possibly years, with careful planning designed to stay hidden in plain sight. The careful approach and planning of law enforcement paid off. Children who may have been at risk were unharmed, and the perpetrators were detained before they could continue their activity. The officers worked through the night, cataloging evidence and ensuring the scene remained secure. The relief among the team was tempered by the knowledge of what could have happened if the truck had escaped or gone undetected. The desert, which had seemed empty and silent for so long, had been the setting for a confrontation that revealed both human cunning and the dedication of those sworn to protect the vulnerable. By morning, the operation was complete. The truck, once a symbol of danger and uncertainty, had been secured. The suspects were in custody, evidence was safely collected, and law enforcement had gained insight into a dangerous network. What had begun as a tip from an anonymous source had unfolded into a carefully executed operation, testing the skills, patience, and courage of every officer involved. The semi-truck, now inert and exposed, was a reminder of the hidden threats that could exist in everyday life and of the vigilance required to confront them. The aftermath of the operation cast a quiet but profound shadow over the Nevada desert. By morning, the semi-truck sat immobile, its secrets fully exposed, and the suspects were in custody. Investigators moved through the industrial yard methodically, photographing every detail, collecting documents, and cataloging items that revealed the scope of the criminal network. The evidence showed a level of organization that shocked even seasoned officers. This was not a single reckless act. It was a carefully orchestrated operation designed to prey on the most vulnerable. and the scale of planning underscored the danger that had been narrowly averted. Authorities continued to unravel the web that the suspects had built. Phone records, encrypted messages, and financial transactions connected the truck to other operations across multiple states. The case quickly grew beyond Nevada's borders, requiring coordination with federal agencies and law enforcement in neighboring states. Each new piece of information brought a clearer picture of a network that had exploited children and sought to move undetected across highways and back roads. The scope of the investigation revealed both the cunning of the perpetrators and the relentless persistence of the officers who had tracked them down. Community response was immediate. News outlets reported on the arrests, emphasizing the swift and effective action of Nevada law enforcement. Residents expressed relief and gratitude, recognizing the danger that had lurked on their highways and truck stops. For the officers involved, there was a quiet satisfaction in knowing that their work had prevented harm and dismantled a criminal operation before it could continue. Yet the sense of relief was accompanied by reflection. The case was a stark reminder of how quickly danger could emerge in unexpected places and how vigilance, coordination, and determination could make the difference between safety and tragedy. Legal proceedings moved forward with meticulous attention to detail. The evidence collected from the semi-truck and surrounding operations became the foundation for charges against the suspects. Prosecutors emphasized the planning, deception, and scope of the criminal network, while defense teams faced the overwhelming documentation gathered by investigators. Each court hearing revealed the calculated nature of the crimes, reinforcing the importance of the investigative work that had brought the perpetrators to justice. The suspects' attempts to conceal their activity ultimately failed, a testament to the effectiveness of careful, persistent law enforcement. In the months that followed, the case became a benchmark for interagency cooperation and strategic investigation. Training programs incorporated lessons from the operation, emphasizing the importance of pattern recognition, surveillance, and rapid coordination. The semi-truck that had once symbolized danger became a teaching example, demonstrating how vigilance, skill, and determination could turn a potential tragedy into a success story. For those involved, the experience left an enduring impression, a reminder that even in the most isolated stretches of desert, danger could hide in plain sight, and that courage, preparation, and teamwork could confront it effectively. The story of the Nevada chase became a lasting testament to the dedication of law enforcement, the resilience of communities, and the importance of protecting the vulnerable against threats that might otherwise go unnoticed.